I'm a writer, producer, and director. I got into filmmaking accidentally, actually, because I studied civil engineering in school. I wanted to be an engineer, and then I heard about 48 hours film competition where you get to write, shoot, and edit a film in 48 hours. So I did it with my friend. We couldn't submit, but that just kind of like introduced me to the heart of filmmaking and how important it can be, and I just fell in love with it from there, And yeah, because again, even before then, I've been writing, but I've not been writing for screen. I've been writing prose and stuff, but after the competition, I decided to get more involved with other aspects of filmmaking, which is writing, directing, and editing as well. The film started as a love letter to Lagos. I didn't grow up in Lagos. I grew up in a very small town in southwest Nigeria where there was no cinema. So the idea, the thought of being a filmmaker, it's almost impossible. Then I came to Lagos for the very first time. It felt like I went to New York. It was very dynamic, the people, and I wanted to make a film about it. Then I started developing this story, which is the story of a photographer that discovered like a box of photographs, by his dead parent, and he goes around Lagos trying to replicate those photos, and that was supposed to be the story really until I encountered a life-changing incident. I reconnected with a friend of mine back in the university, and then he told me about my bunkmate, because I went to a public school and I lived in a public hostel, and the room was quite very small. We had like 8 of us staying there, so there was like very limited space that you can barely move around without touching each other physically, and turns out that my bunkmate is square, and he was deceived and tricked to go outside of the school campus where he was lynched. So hearing the story, in a way, just made me feel a sense of guilt, because I felt like he didn't trust me enough to tell me what he was going through. And because of that, I became consciously aware of the subtle, not just subtle, of the casual homophobia in Nigeria, to the extent that I went to a friend of mine and he was beating somebody, and after the person that he was assaulting left, I asked him why, and he said because he's gay. So he said it in a very casual way, like I'm part of, like I should understand, and I felt like a part of the problem. And because of this, the story that started as a love letter to Lagos became a sort of an examination of the city, and that's how the story came about. I think to me, I wanted to tell the story. I felt compelled to tell the story because in a way, I feel like it's not a story that can easily be told by anyone, right? And because of my own personal experiences and what happened with my roommate, it became, in a way, personal to me. So I guess it's a sort of apology letter to the friend that I felt I let down, and also I couldn't even see myself making another film, straight up. I mean, it is always very difficult to finance any film, at least for your first film. And it was even much more difficult to finance a queer film in Nigeria, where homosexuality is illegalized by 40 years imprisonment. So yeah, and I knew immediately there is absolutely no way to get finances from anywhere else. So I had to self-finance it myself with my friends and some private investors as well. So we shot the film in 2021, and I mean, it was a very short period because, again, like I said, I felt like I couldn't exactly wait to start looking for funding for the film because it's never gonna come. So I think from the start of the project, when I finished writing the film to when we get to shoot it, it's between 4 to 6 months, to raise the funding, But again, because we had to shoot very, in a very low budget way. So yeah, it was a whole lot easier to self-finance it due to that. So yeah, at the beginning, because again we knew that it was a film that would be shot outside, right? So we tried to like get permits, but the process was so long and the bureaucracy was just terrible, and then we applied for some and then we couldn't get it, so we decided to go out and shoot it anyways, So but again, we just got clever about the way we shoot it. We knew exactly what we wanted to do, so we mapped out the area, and I think the biggest challenge in shooting in Lagos really is the concept of agbero, which is like just area boys, touts that come out to harass you, not even just the police, so we have to figure out a way to settle them and even help, implore them to help us to like guide our cameras and stuff, so. That is the second most difficult part of making the film, because we practically spoke to the entirety of Nollywood. At some point it became an issue of if you're a male actor and you can speak, please come audition, And it was so difficult because many people turned down the role, and to even the extent that a lot of people that managed to just even read the script, we had like 2 different readings, and I felt like, oh my God, I've had the perfect casting, only for them to like turn it down like 3 days to shoot. So we got the last actor like really literally 3 days to the beginning of principal photography. I wanted the audience to see the film through the point of view of the lead character, Bambino. He's the kind of person that doesn't really see the world. He only sees just 3 people, right? That's, the characters that we get to see their faces, So by looking inwards through him, by seeing the world through his face, we get to understand that, every other person, apart from those 3 guys, are at the background, and of course that's how we, intend. That's why we decided to shoot it like that. A lot. I think the film cannot exist anywhere else. It can only exist in Lagos. And that's like one of the reasons why we decided to make Lagos like a very a main character in the film. He's more of a supporting character like the rest of the other supporting characters. And I think that that's quite very important because, like I said, if the story takes place, say, in Paris or somewhere else, it will not be the same story, So, and I think like the influence of the city was quite, very, very obvious even right from the beginning while creating the story. Lagos was has been a really, really big part, of the film, of the story, especially within the characters, how they go around the city taking pictures, and how Lagos itself kind of like did not reciprocate the love that they have, for it. I think in a way, over the course of we screening the film since Berlinale, there's been a lot of interpretation of the title, and I think to me everybody's right, but the choice came from the fact that the way people perceive the queer community in Nigeria, which is they tend to like interpret it to be binary, like it's either this or that, but I believe that there's a large spectrum of identities, sexual, personal identities, in the communities. Hence, all the colors of the world are between black and white. It is not 1 or 0. It's a spectrum. It's a lot. I can't speak for them, but I assume there's a bit of risk to it. It goes to show even why a lot of actors rejected the role, because it could be like a stigma on them, on maybe not physical danger, but the ability to perform, to get jobs in Nollywood, because again, they are actors, that's their job, it's their responsibility to represent the film. They are the people that the audience are going to attribute, they are the face of the film, literally, So yeah, I think there's a sense of risk in them taking up, the roles. It's quite different in Lagos compared to the rest of the cities in Nigeria, But again, that wasn't even the focus of the film, because even though we know that homosexuality is criminalized by 14 years imprisonment, that was never really explicitly said in the film, because I think the danger of that is really not in the government laws, but in the human relations, in people. It's much more potent that you come out to your friend that you're queer and they suddenly do not want to be friends with you again, or you listening to somebody you admire, you love, and you hear how they talk about queerness, and then you ask yourself, wow, really, like all these terrible things is coming out of your mouth, and you do not know what to deal with it, and I think that's like what the film tried to focus on, as opposed to the legal, backdrop of it, which again, I think since the law has been enacted, I'm not sure anybody has been prosecuted for it. So, but if the danger is the fact that it illegalized violence against queer people. Unfortunately not, but that's because of two things. One, it was never intended to screen theatrically in Nigeria, because apart from the subject matter, even the style of the film, and I think it's something that people are not exactly very used to. It's quite very different from the typical Nollywood films, so that might pose as a problem in if in that context. But at the same time, we hope to get it on streamers, and to allow more Nigerians to say it, because I personally believe it's like an authentic Nigerian stories told by Nigerians that needs to be seen by Nigerians. It was really great. The reception was very nice. And after the screening, there was a lot of people that wanted to talk to me about the film. And yeah, I had like a really, really lively conversation with people after the film. So. It has been amazing, actually, right from Berlinale. So we had like 5 screenings, in Berlinale, and everything was sold out. It became a sort of okay, because people kept asking me for tickets, and I do not have any, but I think it's even much more important the way it has been received across the world, which has been quite very similar, but maybe different a little bit, but the most important was the screening in Nigeria at an international film festival called AFRIF, because I was quite very nervous about the reception, because I felt like a whole lot of the nuances of the film will be better understood by Nigerians, because again, it's a story, but it was really well received, and we won the jury prize at the end of the festival.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
One or two?
Yeah, yeah. I do have a couple of projects, but again, I'm still trying to like understand myself. I'm still taking in the success, the unexpected success of Colors into consideration, because again, I do not want to just go to the next one and try to replicate what I think made this one to be successful. I want to be able to do a very distinct and bold work that can stand on its own. So yeah, I have a couple of projects in that regards. There's one that is set in Nigeria again. It's a love story. As usual, I think I'm keen with love story. And there's another that is set in both Nigeria and the United Kingdom.